And we should talk. And we'll talk about rejection on the question about the Twilight Zone book. Yeah, because we'll talk about because that's a big one with people being rejected.
And two, I mean, you went back to saying some of your friends have this worldview of sort of the old studio model.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, even in Generation X, Generation Y, have this sort of knight in shining armor approach to their career.
Yeah. In what way? In what way?
In the sense that if we could just have that big break, life will be great, and that people, some tastemaker will put a stamp of approval on what we do.
Well, you want the fairy godmother to tap you with the wand. You know, you want it to be easy. You know, and sometimes here we go. Okay, yes. Let's talk about that for a minute, okay? Because I forgot to. Okay. It's wonderful when you have dreams of glory as a creative artist, as a writer, a filmmaker, a director, producer, whatever, and the fairy godmother comes into your life and she taps you with the wand and everything is perfect and everything is easy and you never have to shed a tear. This rarely happens. First of all, and I don't mean to burst your bubble, but fairy godmothers are not real. They're imaginary creations. So, but many of us would love it. It's like, oh my God, what, if only J.J. Abrams read my script and loved it, and suddenly I'm on top of the world. Right. Now, first of all, because I know a lot of these guys, it ain't like this. It's like this. The whole career is like this. And for like Guillermo del Toro, my dear friend Guillermo, his dream project is a project called At the Mountains of Madness. It's based on a novel by H.P. Lovecraft. He's wanted to make it for 20 years. And last year, or about 2 years ago, James Cameron, right on the heat off of Avatar, said, "You still want to make that? Let's make that." And he came aboard as producer. Guillermo spent a couple of years developing it, active development, studio development at Universal. Tom Cruise was slated to star with Ron Perlman, who Guillermo works with often. He starred in Hellboy. It was going to be in 3D. Amazing film. And the studio wouldn't greenlight it. $200 million movie, R rating. No R-rated movie has ever made that much, and they just wouldn't do it. So here's Guillermo del Toro, James Cameron, Tom Cruise. You'd think, of course they're going to say yes. No, heartbreak, and then you just go on to the next project. You just keep going, and maybe that movie will get made, and maybe it won't. And all of us have those projects, those dream projects that don't get made. But if you say to yourself, well, I'm going to go to Kickstarter. I think what's going to inevitably happen ultimately is some guy, some A-list guy, some huge guy is going to come to crowdfunding, is going to come to Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and is going to say, okay, I need $50 million, and that's going to happen. And then the world's going to change. The world is absolutely going to change because, when I was growing up, Orson Welles was still alive, and I always thought that there should be a box on the income tax form that just said, if you want to give $1 to have Orson Welles make a movie, check this box, and then he wouldn't have had to spend the last several decades of his life in frustration never making a movie. He just would have gotten the money to make movies because he was this genius, and we would all be better having these guys making their movies. So, but the point is that for all of us there's rejection, for all of us there's disappointment, and then it just becomes how committed you are to what you're doing, and again, it goes back to, if you don't need to be rich, if you don't need the studios and the networks, you really have to look at your dream and say, what is my dream? And if you slice it up into little pieces and you say, okay, wait a minute, do I need this piece of the dream, or is this the piece that I really care about? Because then it allows you to maneuver, And also another thing that we do, all of us, is, like, for instance, Guillermo, he might do one project and that doesn't get realized, but he might take something from that project and put it into another project. For instance, the vampires he developed in Blade 2, he ultimately much more fully realized in The Strain, which was a series of novels that he's done more recently. So, and what I'm doing in Space Command is I'm taking certain elements from various projects and then putting them into the umbrella of this project, simply because they fit, they work, they're great characters or great aliens or whatever. So it's not that you're recycling in any negative way, but you're certainly looking at the things that you care about and making sure they get to the audience.